Hello and welcome to the Be Smart About Art Show. Very slight delay there today. That's how it is when we're all kind of working out how to do all of this technology. I'm Susan J. Mumford. I'm here hosting the Be Smart About Art Show today. And I do, as ever, have three pieces of breaking art world news. So we always take a little selection for you, and we always give you some hints, some little teasers as to what we're covering today. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to give you some little snippets into what those three stories are. Sometimes I find initiatives that perhaps a lot of people don't know about that I have known about for a number of years. I've been in this industry for about 20 years. And I've come across quite a few fantastic initiatives kind of on both sides of the Atlantic and kind of elsewhere apart from even just UK and North America. There's a lot happening out there. So I highlight some unusual things, also things that have launched specifically in response to the pandemic. And when I've given you those three headlines, I'll then go into detail into what's happening and some things that you can take action on yourself. So the first point of interest for today is the IFPDA fair having moved online in response to what's happening. So still finding ways to support the exhibitors, which is fantastic. And that's alongside actually the Freeze Art Fair, which extends into this week as well. So they can kind of overlap in a way that perhaps is not really a problem because it's online and therefore you can access Freeze and you can access the IFPDA. Then secondly is a piece titled "A Miniature Gallery Mounts Tiny Artworks with Big Results." The title of the show is it's a gallery that is titled Shelter in Place, what I meant, and it's based out of Boston. So we have seen some actual new online galleries developing. I've seen a few different things happening. So it's really interesting. We've got the kind of no names such as the IFPDA. I'll tell you more about that shortly. And then you've got these brand new initiatives, which is fantastic. And then another long-standing initiative is RX Art and what RX Art does in general and what they're doing at the moment. So they're inviting you to do something at home that you could also do with some little ones if you have any little ones around. But why wouldn't adults enjoy coloring in some pictures is what I say. Right, now what I'm going to do, everyone, before I dive into detail is I am actually going to open up Facebook on my end so that I can also see your comments and your questions. So feel free to hop in and say anything, and I will be watching out on the comments as we are live. It's great to see we've got a few people live right now already. Great, so let's just move on and dive into that first piece of news. There we go. I've got the comments going and ready for you to say whatever you would like to say. The IFPDA, let me tell you a bit about the organization. And hello, I can see people saying hello. The IFPDA, so International Print Federation. I'm forgetting the exact name, but basically it's amazingly well respected fine art print dealers and typically based in the USA, although I do know that they have got some galleries who exhibit from elsewhere. For example, some of their fairs, including Miami. One of my favorite Miami fairs in December of most years, at least, is the Ink Art Fair. So the IFPDA is a non-profit association representing a vetted community of 150 galleries and publishers of contemporary editions in 12 countries. So indeed, they have members internationally. The IFPDA Fine Art Print Fair is the largest international art fair celebrating more than 500 years of printmaking, from the 16th century to new editions by today's best known artists. Originally scheduled to be held at the Java Center in New York with 70 booths, the IFPDA has moved the fair online, invited all 150 members to participate, and waived all exhibitor fees in response to the current economic and health crises. And myself, regularly speaking with art dealers, and hello to people who are saying hello, I can confirm that galleries are really appreciating such initiatives by fairs. Needless to say, businesses do need to stay in business, and some of the fairs are charging small fees to be able to participate, which I think is still reasonable to be viable themselves. But it might be that there are temporarily reduced sums being expected So what I see when I go to Artsy, it's very interesting. So essentially what's happened is the IFPDA is showing on Artsy as 154, the African Art Fair has been as well. That's one of my other preferred art fairs during Freeze Week, which would have been last week, and more on that in just a moment. So here we have got, if you can see that on the screen, you're starting to get some images on here, and these are basically works of art that are available, and pardon me, these are all black and white little thumbnails. So these are all available on Artsy in association with the IFPDA fair. And to give you an idea, so I go to Inc., which is an art fair hosted by the IFPDA. I go in Miami of each year. They take over the ground floor overlooking a little pool at the Dorchester on South Beach on Collins Avenue. And it's fantastic. What you do is you go into each what is normally a hotel room up several steps. And of course, you've got palm trees around. They always have a breakfast in the morning. They have several parties that take place at night. And you've got probably about 20 different exhibitors in these individual hotel rooms. And each one is like having its own little exhibition. And you do see, they mention in that article or that press release that the pieces date back to the 16th century and many come into the contemporary to today. Now, most of the pieces that I see in Miami are indeed contemporary works of art, if not contemporary modern, so perhaps latter part of the 20th century. But what the outstanding thing about the IFPDA is the quality and it's the engagement of the exhibitors. So those would be the gallery owners, the gallery assistants, etc. And it's always one of my favorite fairs in Miami. And it's because of those various things, I just know that I'm going to see some high quality works of art. And so to see the IFPDA print fair that normally takes place in New York, whereas I have not personally been to that fair in New York, I know the quality that people are expecting. And for that event not to take place would have been a real shame. So I am therefore delighted that the IFPDA has collaborated with Artsy, as did the African Art Fair 154. They also collaborated with Artsy. So you've got Artsy, this big online marketplace or third-party platform you might hear from time to time, and they're able to essentially enable the exhibitors to show their works, and then collectors can individually buy pieces from Artsy. So one of the new features, more recent features of Artsy is the Buy Now button, whereas they used to be purely a promotional marketplace that would send visitors to the gallery's websites. What they're now doing is enabling the collectors to buy directly from the website. And as it turns out, the latest figure that I have heard is that 70% of the transactions resulting from Artsy are coming through that Buy Now button. It is requiring exhibitors who've been on there to actually relabel existing works of art that are on Artsy, so it takes quite a bit of time, but I would say well worth it if they want to see some impact. Not everyone sees sales, but certainly when you're in association with an exhibition, and I know Artsy has been known to be a platform as well, not only great on its content on its website, but also in terms of what's happening in the art world today. But if you were showing at an art fair, then actually being on Artsy was known to be effective as well in terms of getting in front of collectors who were at that fair. You would often see Artsy on site with their own booth, doing funky installations and projects and all kinds of experiential activities at art fairs. And so now they're still actually providing that, to my mind, and they're providing it purely online. So as a technology company that's supporting the art market, I just think that's fantastic that Artsy is collaborating with various art fairs. Now, in terms of what else is happening with art fairs this week, it's interesting that we have got an extension of the Freeze Art Fair. So normally, Freeze would have been last week. It would have opened up, I believe, on Tuesday to VIP collectors. The next VIP day would have been on Wednesday, and then it would have been open to the public Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. What they have done instead is Freeze has opened an online shop. Rather, I don't mean shop Freeze. I'm so sorry to have described it as a shop. What they're actually doing is they have an online viewing room. And with that, they still had the VIP viewing on Tuesday and Wednesday of last week. And now it's open to the public to the 15th of May. So they've extended by an entire extra 5 days, which is fabulous. And it makes me think that actually when you are converting events to take place online, it's a really good idea to not necessarily do them exactly as you would have done before. It's different. It doesn't replace face-to-face, and how you engage might need to actually vary. So I think that was a really great move on Freeze's part to extend the dates of engagement for prospective, not only visitors, but prospective buyers. And at least based on the webcast panel that the Freeze New York director, one of the exhibitors, hosted by the Financial Times last week, when they had that discussion last week, the gallerist Garth Greenan was reporting sales. So it was sounding to me like people were actually making transactions, which is all very, very interesting. If you want to see the Freeze viewing room, I do suggest that you take a note of the URL, and I'm now trying to remember if it was one way around or the other way around. I left my sheet of paper on my desk over there. I think it's freeze.viewingroom.com. And if it's not that, it's viewingroom.freeze.com, but I'm almost certain it's freeze.viewingroom.com. So check that out. I did actually find when I went to the Freeze Art Fair website, it really quite tricky to discover where to register to see the viewing room. So take a note of that, because that should help you see it. And after that is taken down, will that be a landing page for future online exhibitions? Isn't that an interesting question? Because my take is that we will continue to see more online accessibility to events going forward, even when we have the ability to be there face to face. So I really do think this is the start of a new and different, more accessible online era, which myself, coming from small town America, I think that that's pretty amazing to give people access no matter where they're located, all prompted by a very unfortunate situation. Moving on then to Hyperallergic's piece, a miniature gallery mounts tiny artworks with big results. Okay, this is from the 5th of May. This states, shelter in place is a Boston gallery born out of the coronavirus pandemic. Artist Eben Haynes built the maquette, and artists submit works to scale, which are photographed with surprisingly realistic results. In the past month, the Boston Gallery has managed to mount 15 exhibitions of brand new works, with a rigorous program still to come. With the onset of the coronavirus pandemic, arts institutions around the globe shuttered one after the other, and wasn't that intense when that was taking place? Meanwhile, Shelter in Place Gallery was not only founded during the crisis, but continues to thrive. Of course, there's a catch. Shelter in Place is a miniature gallery measured 20 by 30 inches and exhibiting scaled down works in a model structure, creating used foam core, mat board, balsa wood, and plexiglass, aka acrylic for those in the UK. Artists can submit works at a 1 to 12 or 1 inch to the foot scale. That is very American, and that's cool because it's America, allowing them to create and show even ambitious, seemingly large-scale pieces. A romantic, suspended latex installation by Mary Petticini, wall-to-wall canvases by B. Cheheb. Whoops, let me just turn this over. And we've also got traditional exhibition spaces, of course, remain closed. With high ceilings and skylights that flood the space with sunshine, the condensed gallery is impressively lifelike, giving artists room to particularly get creative. In some photographs, it is nearly impossible to tell apart from the larger gallery. So I am going to send you to the Instagram profile, Shelter in Place Gallery, that when I looked at this just a few minutes ago had 4,699 followers. Not so bad for a new gallery. And do check out Shelter in Place Gallery. I think that's a really fantastic initiative. And it's a great example of what people are coming up with. I actually have had various conversations with people about how this is a trying time, needless to say. Is the world on kind of hold this year? And my response would be no, that it's not. I mean, actually, it makes me think there's something I want to find for you in this article that I think is really good. So let me just read a bit of detail for you. Each exhibition at Shelter in Place is based on artist-submitted work selected by Haynes and his partner and gallery assistant, Delaney Dameron, from submissions initially sent online. The shows usually last 3 to 4 days. It's quick turnaround, during which Haynes and Dameron capture installation and detail photography, as well as videos that are shared on the gallery's Instagram. Haynes was amazed by the elaborate quality of the tiny works that arrived on his doorstep. When mounted in his intricate gallery maquette, the result is deeply authentic and visceral. Shots of the Lilliputian exhibitions are virtually impossible to distinguish from life-size shows. That's partly thanks to the gallery submission criteria. All of the works on view are indeed original, and it prioritizes new pieces as opposed to small copies of existing ones. So that makes me think of the difference between an original, and you can even say an original print, which is a print that was intended to be a print, even if it's in a limited edition, versus a reproduction print, which is really what they're referring to here, which would be therefore a copy of an existing piece and maybe making a smaller version of a larger piece. So this is making something specifically for that size, and digital copies are all but prohibited. I do want to read on. I think it's just a really fascinating concept, basically. Haynes says, the messages of togetherness and unity we're hearing from museum directors tend to ring a bit hollow when half the staff is on furlough. It is then compounded by the fact that even after executive pay cuts, these directors' monthly compensation is still higher than what those furloughed workers make per year, he says. So far, this is useful to know, shelter in place has shown only local work that's easy enough to drop off, contact-free of course, so as to avoid possible contamination during shipping. But Haynes hopes to extend the opportunity to a more diverse group of artists. We're honestly so busy with the local response that it seems daunting to open it up, but once going to the post office gets a little safer and easier, I'd love to be able to show work from outside Boston, and I dare say they're going to hear from people far and wide as well. So currently at the gallery, we've got, that was actually when this was published, so this is probably already out of date, glazed ceramic works by Fabio J. Fernandez, and presumably the show after that was quote unquote large paintings by Sharon Lacey, and more coming up. I think if I put the Be Smart About Art twist on things, something that I have been talking about recently has been the importance of what you're creating at the moment, that you can see yourself doing that, not only in a year from now, but I would actually think that ideally programming that you're creating, that you're making new initiatives and offerings and programs that you could actually see yourself doing feasibly until the end of December 2021. Because here's the thing, we are in this pandemic, obviously, with all of the news I cite every single Monday. I mean, it's astonishing exactly how much is happening in the art world. I mean, at first it was sort of exhibition closed, art fair canceled, art fair postponed, all this stuff. It was just bam, bam, bam. And now what we're seeing is creative solutions. And not everything. Some things have been cancelled or postponed, and some art fairs are even asking their exhibitors to be signing the dotted line for fairs that take place this coming fall/autumn, which is interesting. But the point is that we're in this pandemic. We might be let out, we might have to come back in, but basically, whenever a vaccine rolls around, we're going to be stepping into what's probably going to be the biggest ever recession, not only in our lifetimes, but what's being reported in the UK certainly is the biggest recession for several hundred years. So it's sort of pandemic/recession, one kind of leading into the other. And that comes back to my point, and then thinking about, I think it's fantastic what they've set up with Shelter in Place Gallery, in the Shelter in Place Gallery in Boston. I mean, it's in Boston. It lives online, right? Although I guess the items are physically at the moment in Boston, and they want to continue working with physical objects that they then transpose via photography and put online. But can they keep up that program of doing an exhibition every 3 to 4 days until the end of 2021? Now, I would guess that they set that up very, very quickly, not really thinking about how long that it might go. So I would expect that because they're seeing the amazing results that they'll keep going, but they'll need to adjust their programming. It might be that they simply give themselves longer turnaround time from one show to the next show. There's so many different ways that they could go about it, but yeah, just so yourself, when you're thinking about your own programming, just ask yourself, can you see yourself still producing what you're doing a year from now, having continually done it since that time? And not only that, but another kind of half year after that. Give that some thought. And now, last but not least, in today's news items, we have got Coloring from Home with RX Art. Now, RX Art is an organization that was founded by Diane Brown, who I know personally. She's based out of New York. She was a gallerist in New York, and she decided she wanted to do something beyond having a gallery space. So I'll read you the mission that they have set out on their website. RX Art is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to help children heal through the extraordinary power of visual art. We commission exceptional contemporary artists to transform sterile healthcare facilities into engaging and inspiring environments full of beauty, humor, and comfort. In the past 20 years, RX Art has completed 51 projects with 60 artists in 36 hospitals throughout 20 cities in the USA. And I know that they've done something in Canada now as well. So I'm wondering if they need to potentially update that about page to reflect that and maybe even add in some more examples or their numbers. Interestingly, it then states this: RX Art produces every object, probably every project, at no cost to the hospitals. Every artist is provided with an honorarium and the chance to transform the lives of children as they heal. They have done seriously amazing exhibitions. They've done incredible installations from the absolutely biggest artists on the planet. I think I remember Diane talking about Jeff Koons having done something, right down to artists who are, they're doing teaching, they're doing art making, they're doing exhibitions, participating perhaps in artist fairs. So really it's the whole range of artists. So they don't, it's worth noting, accept unsolicited submissions. That said, it's really reassuring to know that they work with artists of kind of all levels, professional artist minds. So you can imagine, being that I've known Diane for over a decade, and I know that they've been doing these amazing projects at hospitals, that I was thinking, what's happening with RX Art right now during the COVID-19 outbreak, and particularly bearing in mind what it was like in New York, where they're based. They have a fabulous little office with kind of front gallery space in the Lower East Side. Look at the hashtag coloring from home. That's without a U in the word color. So hashtag coloring from home. And here's what it states. This is something that they're doing. Visit us here weekly. Rather, visit us here for weekly downloads of drawings from the RX Art coloring books. And I've got one of those on my bookshelves. They are wonderful, these coloring books they have. And now they're doing weekly downloads, which is just fantastic. Navigating this new and surreal reality feels like a frustrating maze, but as you process, doing all you can to stay well and keep moving forward, we encourage you to take breaks to get lost in art. And so go to RX Art and download the coloring book pages that they have for that particular week. And what I've done is I have printed out this sheet of all different coloring book pages that they have been doing. So if you haven't done this yet, go and check out the ones they've done. This is a huge program that they've been doing. So you can see week of March 30th, they had 4 artists, from what I can see: Sam Falls, Daniel Heidkamp, Tara Lewis, and Abel Macias. April 6th, they had Brian Bess, Neil Raitt, Jeffrey Gibson, Elizabeth McIntosh, Andrew Brischler. April 11th to 17th, Rasha Johnson, Kenny Sharth, Matthew Ritchie, the Haas brothers, Claudia Compt, Trudy Benson. April 20th, 24th, Mark Hagan, Catherine Bernhardt, John McAllister, John Hook, Scott Pat. April 27th, Analia Sabin, Nikki Malouf, Marcel Zema, and May 4th was Kaz, Julia Chiang, and Walied Beshti. So, I mean, they really do have this fabulous ongoing program of artists who are doing these sketchbook pages. I think that that sounds brilliant. So I am actually myself going to be downloading some of those. I love what they do. And if I think about things that we could all do with, say, those coloring pages as well, how about coloring in some of those, even doing this with your family, and then using some of that as, say, a wrapping paper for gifts that you might be sending in the post to give a personal touch to those presents. I really think that kind of thing is lovely, and it's a great way of making this sort of project that you might undertake, and share it on social media, by the way, as well. Hold up your picture and say hashtag coloring from home. Thank you so much, ArcsArt. Really, please do it, because Diane is just completely driven to run that program that provides art to these children, and supporting artists all the way as well. And then you've got something rather practical that you can use for gifts as well. So altogether, really, really excellent. Everyone, that brings us to the conclusion of the art world this week. In terms of what else is happening, if you haven't yet caught it, do check out Grayson Perry and his new kind of art club, and also do go look at what's happening on Be Smart About Art channels across social media. Check out what we're sharing, particularly I would say on the news front on Twitter. So if you head over to Twitter, check out at Be Smart About Art, and we're regularly posting about initiatives, also just good support ideas for the creative community. And it's great to see people saying hello. So hello, somebody else from the UK. And see, just follow the links that we're sharing there. We do share what's happening across channels on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram as well. So check us out. And if you haven't yet seen, be sure to see our community over at patreon.com/besmart about art. As you see on the screen behind me, a motto here is participating, connecting, and growing. And as somebody who's been setting up community since a child in small town America, I know that community is paramount at all stages of your life. And right now, it's arguably more important than ever that you have got your community of people that you're not only asking, rather that you're not only supporting, but you're also asking for their support as well. And that leads us in to our motto for 2020 and 2021, which is keeping it simple and supportive. So that is really focusing on the things that you're doing, making it easier for other people to be able to make decisions on what you're offering, so there are not too many choices, and that you are also giving support to those people in your community and asking for it when you need it. We all have new needs. We all have new demands. This is a different time, unlike any other. And coming back full circle to something I was saying earlier in the show, that things are going to come out of this. This is not pie in the sky concept. I mean, we're already seeing new things happening. What new ideas are you having? And just if you need to sometimes just live with the fact that maybe you're not feeling productive or you're not able to get things done, that's fine. There are new things happening there, and that you'll see results of for the longer term. Everyone, I'm going to be signing out. This has been fabulous to have you, as ever, on the Be Smart About Art show. Thank you very much for your kind comments. And if you have not yet in the comments specified where there's a little comment that says click here to get notified when Be Smart About Art goes live in future. Click that, and then that means that you should get notifications, sometimes several minutes late, but that's okay. We're always here on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays at the same time. I look forward to seeing you in future shows with Be Smart About Art. As we say, art is your life, make it your living. Here to help you thrive in a changing art world. Thank you very much, and see you next time with Be Smart About Art show. Signing out.